gonna start with this video. Honestly, Top 10 Pokemon's a homie. He's a super cool guy. Just check him out if you guys haven't. Like I said, video is or his YouTube channel is linked. We're gonna link this one, of course. We're just gonna like it straight out of the rip because we already know we're gonna like the video. This dude always delivers. All right, here we go, guys.
Joining me once again for the Pokemon card auctions of the week recap, folks. It seems like week after week, I always say after I do these recaps, you know what, next week, I'm not going to do so many auctions. That was too many auctions. Next week, I'm cutting it down. And then next week comes, and it's even more auctions. I'm sorry. There's a lot that I try to cut out, but it all seems so important. So we have a great variety of auctions that came by throughout the entire TCG. I thank you so much for watching today's video. And stay tuned because we are going to be drawing the winner of this Prismatic Evolutions Elite Trainer Box right after today's sponsor. And today into this week's auction recap, starting off with some of the graded cards.
Nice
cards from the White Flare Black Bolt sets that just came out. Here we have a SIR Zekrom EX in PSA 10, sold for even $1,000. Here we have the All Black Zekrom EX in PSA 10 that sold for $1,626.
Yo, am I the only one that thinks that's a little crazy? $1,600. That is wild. Boom. All right, there we go, chat. All right, now we're back in it. Sorry about that, guys. That was kind of crazy. I did, dude. We might see the Victini in here. We might see the Victini in here, goat. Yeah, right. Has a case of the Mondays on Tuesday, bro. Victini going for 2,500 right now. It's crazy. Theo, boy, the day's going pretty good, dude. Hanging with the wife. But have you tabbed up, homie? Yo, thank you very much, Scrub. Appreciate you, man. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. Sorry about that. Technical issues, weird stuff. All right, here we go.
Here we have the All Black Zekrom EX.
I think this is kind of crazy. $1,600.
$1,626. While the All White Reshiram EX.
I mean, you got to put it where the respect is due. These cards do look incredible, and they're like an homage to like the OG black and white, full black Reshiram and Zekrom cards. So I think that's kind of cool. But they're selling. Are they selling for like almost as much as the old ones? Hold on, chat. Let's find that out. Let's find that out really quick. Sorry for the pause here. Let's see. eBay. Chat. Anyone on the top of their head? No. Let's see. Reshiram EX. All white, but I want to look at the older one. I don't remember the set that it was from. I can't remember. What if we do like OG? OG Reshiram EX. There it is. Okay, it's from just the black and white base set. PSA 10. Reshiram EX PSA 10. So what is this one going for in a PSA 10? Since he's probably not going to put it in the video. Okay, OG. Woo! That's a pretty penny. He's asking $5,000. What about sold comps? $2,600. So one just sold from black and white for $2,600, but this one is selling for $1,799, bro. That's not that far behind, honestly. That's really crazy. Japanese is about $500. See, that's kind of what I expected this one to sell for. It was about $500-$600. That's honestly pretty reasonable. Wow, the first PSA when it came pop one was $2,125. That is literally nipping at the heels at the OG from 2011. Chat, do you think that's justified? Like, what is that? That's kind of crazy, right? Am I the only one that thinks that?
Was a PSA 10 for $1,823. Here, folks, is a collection that's all framed. It's all PSA 10s of the 151 and Pokemon TCG Classic starters. Cool. So even includes the special illustration rare Charizard EX in PSA 10. All these cards sold for a total of $2,450 this week.
Yo, that is so cheap, bro. What is going on with these complete master PSA 10 sets? Like really cool frame designs selling for like sub what the cards are going for. That's kind of wild, no?
Here we saw a couple of bangers from Steam Siege. mainly Gardevoirs.
Steam Siege, bro.
Actually, it's only Gardevoirs. Here's a Mega Gardevoir
Yo,
EX.
10IC,
We saw
what's up,
two
dude?
sales of this card. One for $860.
My baby Guardy.
The other
Dude,
one for
simping over Guardy, yeah.
$880. And then we saw the Secret Rare Gardevoir EX.
That
Sold
card's
for
actually
$810. The other one for $1,135 this week.
Not bad for
Several
those
more
Gardevoir fans
cards
out
from the
there.
XY era.
Honestly,
Here's a
love that
beautiful
Alakazam.
Mega Alakazam
Love that
EX from
Alakazam.
Fates Collide. Sold for $1,073. We saw numerous insane sales from
I had that
Ancient
card at
Origins,
9.
mainly those Primal cards. Here's a
yeah.
Kyurem EX.
I can't wait to see what
PSA 10 sold for
the Primal Groudon's going for, chat. Since I just
Here's
got
that
mine.
Primal Kyogre
Woo!
EX.
5
sold for even
Gs.
$5,000. And then we saw two sales of the Primal Groudon EX, one
Yes.
for $5,600.
Chat, I recently got this card graded at PSA, and it came back at 10. I pulled it into Walgreens mystery pack, finally came back, graded at 10. It was a Beckett 9.5, but I cracked it, resubbed it, and it is like, I almost sold it for $1,600, chat. I know I've told this story a couple times, but if you guys are new around here, I almost sold this card for $1,600 at a show in a BGS 9.5, but I was like, no, like, this is a clean copy, right? PSA 10s are like 2,000, 2,500 back then. So I was like, let me crack it and resub it, see if I get a 10. Willing to take the risk, right? Because not all 9.5s are 10s. Let's be real here. There's definitely an opportunity of a 9.5 turning into PSA 9. It's happened to me. So it coming back at 10, and the card is skyrocketing right now. So many confirmed sales, 5,600, closing on 6K, dude.
The other one for $5,650.
Yeah, you're right. For sure, Snorlax,
And then we
for
saw
sure.
two sales of the Mega Rayquaza EX.
Oh my
One
God.
for $7,600. The other one for $8,150.
Dude, that's so good.
Man,
That's so
Ancient
good. I
Origins
can't wait
has
my
completely
card to be
blown
there.
up. Just wait till later on in this video, folks. We saw a case of Ancient Origin booster boxes sell that might blow your
dude.
mind
A
with the
case of
price they
booster
went
boxes.
for. Here's the full art.
What's up, baby?
I've seen the Rayquaza on Marketplace for
45,000? 4,500?
Yeah, said
What?
it's going for 7.
It's going for 7. Is it local?
Well, yeah, but it was like a month or so ago.
Oh, yeah, there's no way anymore. Yo, Batman, what's up?
Charizard EX from Flashfire sold for $4,500.
Keep that motherfucker in
Here's
the
an
safe.
XY
See,
promo
I pulled
Shaman
it to sell it,
EX
though.
in PSA 10 that sold for $3,850.
That's a clean Shaman
And then
card,
here we
chat.
have a lot of XY
yo,
promos
those
of Charizard,
promos. I've got the
Blastoise,
Blastoise, I've got the
Pikachu,
Charizard, I don't have
Mewtwo,
Venusaur or
and
Pikachu.
Mew. All raw copies sold for $1,502.
Respectable.
Just a couple of black labels. Here's a Pikachu stamp box promo card. They got the
Chat, the rough thing about these promos is I turned on the Pikachu. I didn't get the Cramorant. They were all over the place. Back when I got into Pokemon in 2021, 2020, like, well, they came out 2021, but in 2020 is when I came back, and 2021, they were just been like everywhere, and they were really cheap. If you look up what the 2021 prices of this in like PSA 10, now they're going for
black label
like
and
some
sold
crazy
for
money, you know?
$6,200 this week. And then I didn't cover this last week. This is a sale from like 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
It is
black
this
label
black label
Misty.
Misty's
Wow.
Favor from Unified Minds that sold for 7,433 big ones. And
That's
then I'm
pretty
not
wild.
sure if you caught my most recent video because this guy was on it. It's the Armored Mewtwo in PSA 10.
Yes,
sold
dude.
for
Go to the fucking moon.
$6,570.
$6,500 from Armored Mewtwo PSA 10. That is insane. That thing used to sell for like $1,000. This thing's gone up so much recently. That's wild, dude. I can't believe how much these cards have exploded.
$1.
Like, honestly, I really can't.
And then getting into some vintage cards on eBay, we have this Ancient Mew. And may I say that the label on there is maybe more ancient than the Ancient Mew itself. Sold as a PSA 10 for $1,625. Here is a Japanese base set Charizard in PSA 10, sold for $5,908. And folks, I'm pretty excited about this. I'm not sure about you, but I'm pretty excited. We are seeing a black label copy of this card come through an auction. Selling this weekend, so I will cover it on next
can't
week's
wait to-
auction recap.
Chat, we're gonna cover that. We're gonna cover that for
seen
sure.
a black label base set Charizard come by an auction, so I'm very
Yeah, those
excited to
never
see
sell.
the results of that.
I think there's only a couple in the
Here we
entire
have
world.
a PSA 10 base set Shadowless Alakazam, sold for $5,100. Here is a Dutch first edition Venusaur
Dutch,
from
huh?
base set, sold as a PSA 10 for $2,075. Here we have the Unlimited Vaporeon Holo from Jungle. The same one you get from those Water Blast theme decks, sold for $3,500.
Let's do a quick parlay on the Zard's price. Okay. So, chat, what do you think that black label Charizard is going to sell for? Can we find out like, hang on, let me open up my other browser. Let's see. Let's see. BGS Black Label Japanese base set Zard. No, we should have waited, chat. I didn't know it sold already. I thought it was still going through. $58,300, chat. Oh my god. Honestly, though, if you want my full like open opinion, I think that's kind of low. I think that's kind of low for those other viewers that can't see it. Sorry, I'll move it over. $58,300 for the Black Label Charizard he was just mentioning. That is kind of ridiculous. I honestly was thinking over 100K. Because if you look at a first edition base set Charizard and PSA 10, those sell for about 125 to 150K, right around there, right? This is a Black Label is typically 10 steps above PSA. You're looking 5 to 10x of PSA 10. I feel like that's kind of low, 58K for like, what is this, a pop? What is, do we need to look at the pop report on this, chat? I don't know what you guys want to, because look, I mean, a 9.5 of the same Charizard sells for 2,700, 2,200. What's that, babe?
From last year.
Yeah.
PSA 10 for
1,400 PSA 10 Moonbreon. My goodness. I just feel like that's kind of low. That's actually really sick too. 6,000 for that. I don't know what the pop is. I don't really feel like looking up the pop report right now, but $58,300. Honestly, pretty crazy for a Pokemon card. Like, let's be real here, but low for what it is, right? It's 1996. It's as old as it gets for like your traditional looking Pokemon cards as we know them today, right? So I don't know. I think it's a little low. But back to the video. Sorry, guys.
And also from Jungle was this first edition Cubone that sold as a PSA 10
Yeah,
for
dude, that's a car. That's a nice
$336.
car.
You might be asking yourself, why are you covering a Cubone on the auction recaps? Because it's a Cubone. It's a common card from Jungle and it's still selling for $336. Is anyone else amazed by that? Or is it just me? I don't know. I thought that was very interesting. Here we have an unlimited Dark Raichu from Team Rocket set. Sold for $2,627. Along with this first edition Dark Dragonite that came by.
That is a dream card right there, chat. That is a dream card of mine. First edition Dark Dragonite PSA 10. Dream. Well, the dream is obviously a Black Label, right? Like my dream car, Audi R8, but my ultimate like unreal dream card, like is a Koenigsegg. But you can't start with that, right? Like I would be 100% fine with the PSA 10. I've got a PSA 9 copy of a first edition Dark Dragonite Hollow, but I don't have a 10. That is insane. My dream is a Gold Star SP Lamau PSA 10. Oh man, dude, Snorlax, you're not gonna like this video then. You're not gonna like this video in a little bit. But $5,200, honestly, my Groudon is worth that much. I could trade it for a Groudon. My Groudon for it.
Here is a magnificent Blaine's Moltres from Gym Heroes. First edition PSA 10 sold for $4,200. Along with this Rockets Mewtwo,
honestly, really
first edition Holo from Gym Challenge, that sold for $3,650 this week. Up next, we have a couple of cards from the Neo series. Here's the first edition.
For some reason, this was more iconic to me than Lugia from Neo Genesis was. Like, I don't know what it was when I saw this card when I was a kid, but it like burned into my brain, and I low-key just straight love this card. It's not the greatest art of Ho-Oh, I can agree to that, but I don't know what it is, Chad. It's just so iconic to me. I don't know. You guys know what I'm talking about, though? Like, do you have, like, those things in your life where you can't explain, like, how amazing they are, but they're just super amazing to you? Am I the only one? Well, hopefully not.
Ho-Oh from Neo Revelation sold for even $4,000. And then here is a Black Label Holo.
Huh? It only 11K, Chad. Wait, imagine how Snyder feels. He's trying to sell his Zard. Wait, Snyder's trying to sell his Zard? Really? Bro, that Espeon, though, is so sick. One of the best Espeon arts ever made in a black label.
Hello,
Bro,
Espeon
crazy.
from the Japanese Neo
he
Discovery
wants to sell
set
it.
that sold for $11,100.
That's kind of crazy,
And
bro.
also
I
from
would
Neo
keep
Discovery was the English.
that. Speaking of that Charizard, he got the number 69, right? I mean, wouldn't you want 20K instead? I mean, no. Okay. This is worth 20K. But I ain't selling it. I can't do it. That's worth I can't. I don't understand. So if it's, I mean, maybe because he won it in a prize, right? He's spinning to make money, right? That makes sense. So him wanting to sell, weird flex, but I like it. Sometimes you gotta bust it out, right? But I kind of get it, right? I kind of get it. So him wanting to sell it, he's on a, let's be real, gambling site, right? He wants to turn that into money more than the card. He pulled it out his butt cheeks, chat. Dude, it lives in my ass crack. Like 100%. On God, dude. Lives in my ass, dude. Straight up.
First edition Yanma, a very low pop card. Might be the lowest pop holo from Neo Discovery. It always used to be anyway.
Sick card.
Sold as a PSA 10 for $8,500 this week. From Neo Destiny, we saw this first edition Dark Gengar in P.
All right, I'm the first one to love a Gengar. But, bro, what's with this art, bro? I don't know what it is. Neo Destiny is one of my favorite sets of all time as well. Shining Pokemon, really sick arts on a lot of Pokemon. Dragonite, Arcanine, crazy arts, right? But then you've got this goofy motherfucker. Like, what are you doing, bro? Grimace, straight up, dude, straight up.
PSA 9 sold for $2,500, while the PSA 10 sold for $6,855. Here we have the unlimited
Xander, I'm on TikTok
Shining
right now.
Gyarados in PSA 10.
Live on TikTok. I just
sold
don't
for
know what it's doing.
$9,200
I can't
this
see
week,
it.
along with the first edition Shining Charizard. Got a PSA 10 and sold for $19,100.
Crazy.
Here we have that gorgeous Mewtwo from Expedition, sold for $6,849. Here's a Pichu Holo from Expedition, sold for $3,826. And then we saw a PSA 9 Crystal Charizard that sold for $11,600.
No.
And may I remind you,
Oh my God, Chad, if I had the cash, I could have picked it up. Somebody had a PSA 9 at one of the last card shows I was at. Somebody had a PSA 9 Crystal Zard. He was only wanting $5,500 for it. Dude, I could have literally doubled my money and then some on this card, bro. Oh, holy crap. You just don't see these vintage cards spike up that often. And a 9 going for over 10 Gs is kind of crazy. Dude, 100% 07, dude. 100% 07. I just literally, the day before that show, or the 2 days before that show, I've dropped over $7,000 on buying other cards and other sealed product for the show. So I didn't have an extra $5,000 cash to jump in on that deal, but it was definitely something I wanted to do. He also had a Lovebirds that I wanted to pick up, but again, raw, that's like what, almost $2,000 or something.
that this was the price that a PSA 10 was selling for.
I'm just supposed to be printing money, chat. Like, I don't know where it's coming from, but
For many years. Up next, we have a couple of old school EX cards.
Those look so sick.
From
From
Dragon, we
Dragon,
saw this
dude.
Latios EX sell for $3,325.
One of my favorite Dragonite cards comes from Dragon.
The Rayquaza EX sold for $4,752.
I've had that card a couple
From
times.
Fire Red Leaf Green, we saw this Blastoise EX sell for $3,300. And then this Raichu EX saw 2 sales this week as a PSA 10.
Not gonna lie, that's not the most flattering Raichu artwork, right?
One for $1,725, the other one for $1,575. And is this
Price
not
kinda
the
reflects it.
worst rendition of Raichu you have ever seen?
For real,
my gosh,
bro.
I can't even stand to look at it, folks. I'm sorry.
I knew I liked this guy,
but
chat.
to all you Raichu fans, this card did Raichu dirty. It's just awful. I'll leave it at that. Here's a reverse holo Lugia from Unseen Forces that sold for $2,901. And then, folks, the gold stars are just out of control. Every week I say it,
Gold
but
stars.
it becomes more and more true as the weeks go by. The gold stars are out of control. Check out
It's
some
not
of these
even, like,
sales.
chunky cute,
Here's the
no.
gold star Jolteon from EX Power Keepers, sold for $11,700. Here's a gold star Vaporeon sold.
This is one of my favorite gold stars. Shiny Vaporeon is super, super cute. This like really cool, like water pixelated background shiny, like him reaching over the border of the card. It just like, I think this looks incredible, bro. This artwork is top tier. Like the gold star era and like diamond and pearl, heart gold, soul silver, like fire red, leaf green, like those kind of artworks and stuff, EX dragon, like that stuff. It looks incredible. It's so good. I wish I wouldn't have been in high school and like, nah, dude, Pokemon's lame. You know, I wish I would have kept collecting, bro.
For $12,200.
Kick
The
myself
gold
in the
star
ass all the
Groudon
time.
sold for $13,401.
Chat. Where's it at? Who stole it? Oh, it's not stolen. Chat, do we crack this right now? Do we crack this looking for that gold star Groudon, bro? The gold star Groudon is $13,400 in a PSA 10. We got a Delta Species pack right here, bro. This is where it comes from. EX Delta Species. I had like 40 of these packs. Like I had almost an... actually, wait, no, it was like... Was it just under a booster box? He had like... I don't remember how many packs left in a booster box. But he only had a few packs left, or packs taken out of the box, and I bought the rest of the box. I've got 2 total packs. They're both Dragonite art. One of them is like, I think back here. Yeah, so it's like, see that Dragonite? Oh, you guys can't on TikTok, sorry guys. But right here, there's a Dragonite pack, another one of Delta Species, and I don't know what the fuck to do with it, bro.
No.
Alf says, hell no, dude. All right, respect. Respect, Ralph. I got you, bro. Or I said Ralph.
Here is a CGC10 Gem Mint Gold Star Mudkip from EX Team Rocket Return, sold for $14,900, along with this PSA 10.
Yo, this Trico. Bro, is Civic in the chat? Yo, Civic, if you're here, bro, let me know. Bro, Civic, last year at KC Collecticon, Civic's friend has one of these. PSA 10 Gold Star Trico. Well, it was an old cert just like this one. Didn't he ask it was like 6,000?
Yeah, it was like 6, 7.
Like 6 or 7,000? It's over 10,000 more than that now. Dude, like 10K return in a year, that's like a small part-time job. You just buy one Pokemon card, you make a part-time job a year just as that thing climbs. Unreal.
Trico Gold Star that sold for $17,600. Here is a Gold Star Espeon, got a PSA 9.
Snorlax, dude. I'm sorry, bro. He says his favorite card's a Gold Star Espeon, and a 9. A 9 sells for $11,000, bro. He says, mark my words. He's whatever he's got to do, bro. Second mortgage on the house, sell his car. He's gonna start pimping out his girlfriend, bro. And he's
sold for $11,100, folks. And then we saw the PSA 10 copy of this card sell for a whopping $32,600.
Wait. Oh, it says just okay. I've got the cash. I have the cash. I just don't want to buy it. Okay. I respect it.
My wallet's sweating just looking at these prices. And then
For
here
real,
we have a gold
32,000. Is that what it sells for in a 10? Oh, dude, you're cooked.
whopping $32,600. My wallet's sweating just looking at these prices. And then here we have a Gold Star Rayquaza. This is a raw copy. Take a look at the front and back of this card. It is not in the best of shape, but still sold for $5,600 for a shabby looking raw copy of this Gold Star Rayquaza. And then lastly, for the Gold Stars, we saw this BGS 8.5 Gold Star Rayquaza sell for $17,900. Up next, we have a couple of PSA 10s from Diamond and Pearl Secret Wonders. Here's a Holo Entei. Sold for $2,125. And then we saw this Cosmos Holo Raikou that sold for $2,101.
Bro, that card raw, that Raikou, the cracked ice, sells for like, what is it, $14 or something? I sold it on TCG Player. Dude, if I would have known it goes for $20-something hundred and a 10, I probably would have just graded it just because.
Saw even more PSA 10 level
Supreme
X cards
Victors,
come
bro.
by this week.
Good set
Here
as
is an
well.
Absol level X from Supreme
level Xs are
Victors, sold for
insane.
$5,150. And then we saw two PSA 10 Lucario level X cards
Jesus,
from
huh?
Mysterious Treasures come by, and they both sold for $5,200 a piece. Here is a Raichu level X from Stormfront that also sold for $5,200. Here is a Cresselia level X from
have
Great
that, but it's
Encounters
a-
that sold for $3,000.
Chat, I pulled this in a Great Encounters pack on a live stream. I opened, I think it was like 4 or 5 Great Encounters packs. I was trying to pull the Darkrai level X because Darkrai's my boy, right? I pulled the Cresselia level X, minty ass copy, little OC, and it comes back in 8, bro. Fuck.
$1,061 this week. And then here, folks, is a little binder lot of 100
That's
vintage
pretty cool.
cards.
Honestly, I think this Mew, I know I'm pausing it a lot, chat. I'm sorry. I know I'm pausing it a lot. I really like this Mew. I opened up some Dragon Frontiers packs as well. No, wait, that's not Dragon Frontiers. What is that? Is that Pop Series? That's Pop Series. Is that 6? I think it's Pop Series 6. It looks like Dragon Frontiers Hollow and not the Gold Star. But it's got that same Delta Species style.
As you can see, some bangers on the front page there. A Blaine's Charizard, a Gengar level X, a reverse holo Charizard from Expedition.
bangers, dude.
Sold for a total of $2,025. So there's a lot of good stuff in this binder, but man, not in the best shape. Take a look at the back of this
God,
card.
dude.
It is bent up on the side there. I'm not sure what's going on in the corner up there. If you take a look at this Lugia Legend card, it looks like a cat was dancing on it. It's so scratched up. So yeah, even...
Chat, answer me this. How do cards get that scratched up? Like, has anyone had a card for, like, say, 10 years, right? And you got it was minty condition, and is it that scratched up? I guess if you actually play with it, but were the Legends cards playable? I don't remember them being playable at all. I guess if you do play and over collecting and you primarily, you know, do play, it makes sense that it'll get scratched up a little bit, but like, how does it get that scratched up? Like, that looks like somebody took some keys to it, bro. Like, that takes effort. It's like somebody put gravel in the sleeve and just shook it up, bro. It's crazy. Like, I don't know how people scratch their cards up that much.
pretty
It's
damaged
so weird to me.
cards still go for over $2,000 is kind of insane.
Yeah.
Up next, we have several PSA 10s from Call of Legends. Call of Legends,
Better not show Sweet
in my
Green,
opinion,
dude.
one of the top 10 greatest sets of all
Call
time.
of Legends
Here's
is
a
the
Holo
goat.
Entei that sold for $4,050. The Palkia sold for $5,680. The Raikou sold for $6,180.
no, I see the Sweet Green coming.
The Groudon sold for
God, that looks so sick.
$9,600. And then the Ho-Oh sold
Okay.
for $9,750. And then here we have a
A buddy of mine picked up at the Birch show that I host. He picked up a Call of Legends, the one we just saw, the Ho-Oh, and he had a Lugia as well. They're both like MP. They're both pretty sick. They look insanely good. Insanely good.
pre-release staff Snorlax from Call of Legends. This sold as a PSA 10 for $4,551. And I really like what's going on with the illustration of this card. It's like summoning a energy sphere above it. I'm not sure if it's like sleeping while
like
doing
Shadow
it, but
Ball or
it's
something.
pretty awesome. And then lastly, for our graded cards on eBay,
Hey,
we saw a
chat, we were
couple of
just-
graded cards
that's
from
really
the
funny. We were
black
just
and
talking
white
about
era
this.
that we're not used to seeing. It wasn't until the White Flare Black Bolt sets came out. Now we're kind of seeing these cards come out of the woodwork. Here's a full art Reshiram from Black and White base set that sold for $2,600. Here's a regular Groudon EX from Dark Explorers that sold as a PSA 10 for $420. Here's a full art Giratina EX from Dragons Exalted, sold for $1,515.
Yo, Fanatics and Box have this on their marketplace, and it's at a PSA 8. I could pick it up. It's a pretty sick card.
A full art Kyurem EX from Next Destinies sold for $2,700. Here's a full art Thunderous EX from the worst set of all time, Emerging Powers, sold as a PSA 10 for $510. And then from Legendary Treasures, we saw this full art gold Reshiram, sold as a PSA 10 for $4,400. And then let's not forget this 2009 Rumble Pikachu card that sold as a PSA 10 for $9,950. A couple of interesting
Wow, that's
pieces
wild.
of sealed product came by. Here is an Elite Trainer box of Cosmic Eclipse that sold for
still want those so bad.
$1,375. Here's an ETB of Unified Minds that sold
looks
for
good, too.
$781. An Elite Trainer box of Team Up sold for $2,225. Shining Legends sold for $661. And then we saw the Sun and Moon Burning Shadows booster box sell for $1,125.
Hasn't really gone
A
up
Steam
much.
Siege box sold for $1,200. And then here, folks, we have this Diamond and Pearl Secret Wonders booster box sold for $13,600. Here's a Black and White Dragons Exalted booster box that sold for $13,899.
I love Dragons Exalted. It's such a good set.
While this Platinum Supreme Victors booster box sold for
Platinum's okay.
$16,101.
It's
And
got
then we
some
saw
good
a
sets,
Team Up booster box sell for $9,752.
Baby. Team Up booster box, $97.52. $9,700. Our Team Up booster box, Chad, it just keeps getting more and more valuable.
Very, very close to a 5-figure booster box. And then here we have that case of Ancient Origins booster boxes. Folks, this guy sold for $32,909 this week.
Oh my God. The booster boxes are $5,485 a box for Ancient Origins in a case. That is crazy, bro. I remember when they were $1,000 and I was like, man, this booster box is getting so expensive, bro. And I couldn't even do it on the rip and ship anymore. Like whenever I was doing TikTok rip and ships heavy, bro, we used to open up an Ancient Origins box like every month or so, every couple months. And they were only like $1,000, and at the time, Team Up was only like $1,200. It's just so crazy seeing how much these booster boxes have climbed up. God, I should have kept that sealed instead of my Dark Explorers box, but that's okay. That's okay. That is kind of insane though, guys. Seeing what sealed in Pokemon.
Ooh, and then we're gonna finish off this recap with just a couple of cards from Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction Block. Here is a no symbol Snorlax holo from Jungle. Got the CGC 10 pristine grade.
No symbol. Snorlax is just regular, right? Yeah.
Sold for $4,320. Here we have an Umbreon Reverse Holo from Diamond and Pearl Majestic Dawn. Sold as a PSA 10 for $4,080. Here's a first edition Smeargle from Neo Discovery. Very low pop card, sold for $5,040. Along with this first edition Heracross from Neo Genesis that also sold for $5,040. From Black and White Legendary Treasures, here is the Full Art Gold Zekrom. Sold for $5,760. Here is a Mew from EX Legend Maker, sold as a PSA 10 for $5,880. Here's a PSA 10 first edition Dark Blastoise from Team Rocket, sold for an even $6K. Here is a CGC 10 Gem Mint Gengar Holo from Skyridge, sold for $6,900, while this first edition Fossil Gengar in PSA 10 sold for $7,200. Here is a Gold Star Pikachu in PSA 9, sold for $9,900. And then we saw this Japanese Shining Gyarados in PSA 10.
There's a BGS black label of this card. Pop 1 of 1. I don't know if he's going to mention it in here, but there's a Pop 1 of 1 that just listed on Fnatic. So Fnatic has this now in a black label, and it's available on the Box Marketplace. I think you can just buy it outright. I don't know if they're doing an auction or whatever, but you can get it on Box website. The Pop 1 of 1. Literally just got this card back from Beckett, and it's already on Fanatics. It's kind of crazy. But he's asking what, like $200,000 or something like that. It's kind of insane. When a PSA 10 sells for like $8,700, I was thinking that one going for like $50,000 or $60,000, right? Over the base set Charizard, probably should have went for over $100K. The seller or the buyer of that card might actually try to relist it
for $8,700. While this first edition Shining Mewtwo from Neo
I'm gonna cry, chat. It's a first edition Shining Mewtwo PSA 10. Yeti was offering us one for $4,000. We could have bought one from him for $4,000. It's over doubled, chat. No, I bought a booster box and stick. God damn it, dude. I make terrible choices.
$10,500, along with the Japanese version of this card that also sold for $10,500. Here we have a CGC 10 Gem Mint Reverse Holo Charizard from Legendary Collection, sold for $11,100. Here's a CGC 10 Pristine Rocket Snorlax EX that sold for $13,200. And then we're
When I
going to
watch
finish
videos
off
like
with a
this, it
couple of
reminds me of,
Poncho
like, how hard
Pikachus.
it
Here
is to
is the
invest in
PSA
Pokemon. You
10
never know what's gonna blow up for the
Magikarp
most
and
part.
Gyarados Poncho wearing Pikachu sold for $16,200. And then we saw these BGS 10 copies of the Rayquaza Poncho wearing Pikachus sold for $17,400. That's it, folks. Holy crap, that was a lot of auctions. I always try to cut it down for you. This week, I didn't do a very good job, so I hope you stay tuned to the very end. I really appreciate it. That's all I got for you today, folks. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will
Guys,
catch you in my
awesome
next
video.
one.
Go drop this a like. I'm gonna post it in here. Like I said, top 10 Pokemon is one of my favorite YouTube channels to watch.